All right, welcome back to the channel. Eddie Hearns. You know I ain't getting up off Eddie Hearns' neck. Ain't much going on over there in Matchroom world, except his pay-per-views are flopping. And it looks like this dude is not only having a hard time, Matchroom ain't just having a hard time in the US with the Zone. They're having a rough go over there in the UK with Sky. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel, subscribers. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. Also, thank you to the supporters, not just the subscribers, but the supporters for the channel that take the time to listen to the video all the way through and give me your comments and ask questions or tell me what you think about what my opinion is and the argument that I'm making in this video. Much appreciated. Thank you to everybody that comes to the live streams Monday through Friday and OG Boxing Talk on Sunday, 8 a.m. with myself, Blood, KQKC, and Curtis Anderson. And much love to all the Patreons over there at Fanon's Business and Politics on the Patreon. Now, Eddie Hearn came to the United States talking about he was taking over America. America was wide open. These promoters weren't taking care of business. He had, the biggest star in boxing, Anthony Joshua. Now I'm saying what Eddie Hearn's saying. I'm not, I ain't saying Anthony Joshua was ever the biggest star in boxing, but that was the line that was getting pushed. Had taken over, dominating the UK boxing market, and he was coming over to the United States to take care of his business, right? And take over the boxing scene in the United States. A lot of smack talk. The Zone gives him $1 billion, right? Anthony Joshua's doing millions of pay-per-views over there on Sky. Nobody can stop us, right? Nobody can stop us. We all the way up, right? What's that song? No one can stop us. We all the way up. He was pumped. But now it's 2019. That was 2017. Now it's 2019, and things have changed significantly. The last two pay-per-views over on Sky have flopped. Vasily Lomachenko versus Luke Campbell. 205,000 pay-per-view buys according to Barb. That's the UK version of Nielsen ratings, right? And these are the numbers that are being used for all the different pay-per-view numbers that you've heard for Anthony Joshua, Dillian Whyte in the past. 205,000, the lowest selling pay-per-view in the UK on Sky since Brooke versus Gavin, which did like 195,000 pay-per-views, which was considered an absolute disaster. Then you have Dillian Whyte and Derek Chisora fighting on a doubleheader, right? For Dillian Whyte, pay-per-view star. 289,000 pay-per-view buys in the UK. Also must be considered a flop, seeing as Dillian Whyte had been doing over 400,000 previously. So Dillian Whyte's numbers plummet. Now, so that is on top of the fact that he's not been able to really sign a superstar on the Zone side in the United States, and that the biggest thing that he is doing, that the Zone has as far as pulling in subscribers, is a golden boy fighter. A golden boy fighter in Canelo Alvarez. He also has the new also-ran Gennady Golovkin, who he's in a co-promotional deal. He doesn't promote Gennady Golovkin. Gennady Golovkin is Gennady Golovkin, but he'll be running the logistics for Gennady Golovkin from everything that I can see. The best signing that Eddie Hearn has made in the United States has been a co-promotional deal with Devin Haney, the young lightweight who is going to be, I think he is the mandatory challenger for Vasily Lomachenko at 135. But Bob Arum has absolutely, positively no interest in making a fight with. So just to go through this, because I'm petty and I've been keeping track of this for 2 years. And there has almost been no promises that have been made, almost no smack talking that Eddie Hearn has made that has actually come to fruition. There is no Anthony Joshua, superstar. As of today, Anthony Joshua he lost anything resembling an air of invincibility. His chief competitor, who was Deontay Wilder, who Eddie Hearn was claiming was nobody knew, right? Didn't deserve a shot, only fought a bunch of bums, is now going to be on, in the second out of 3 fights, is going to be on another pay-per-view, is probably going to be the feature fighter for the second biggest sports network in the United States, which is Fox Sports, right behind ESPN, but a Fox Sports, which is really pushing the sport of boxing on their platform. And as far as I know, is the only one that is really pulling major numbers and being successful. The only network that is really being successful in the sport of boxing. Showtime as well, but Showtime, I think, is fitting into the niche as kind of a not secondary fighters, but either young up and coming fighters, right? Like they have guy Jaron Ennis just fought on there. Champions like Gervonta Davis, they'll probably get, like Jermell and Jamal Charlo fights. I wouldn't be surprised if they got J-Rock fights and things like that, from the PBC. So I think that Showtime is doing really well, but DAZN and ESPN's, their numbers just are not there, man. And I don't know how long those guys are continuing to put a bunch of money behind those fights. But that's the state of the US takeover for Eddie Hearn. A lot of talk, not much of anything. In the UK, in the area that he was supposed to be dominating, his numbers are dropping. Now, as far as what Sky Sports is going to be doing over the next couple months, even those aren't really Eddie Hearn fighters. You have a doubleheader that's going to be coming up. You have Sky Sports is considering putting Canelo Alvarez versus Sergey Kovalev on Sky. But Canelo Alvarez is a Golden Boy fighter and Sergey Kovalev is a main events fighter. That's not Matchroom. That might be Sky, and maybe Sky can get some good numbers off that. I don't know, because it's in the middle of the night over there, right? It's a pay-per-view in the middle of the night. However, they have in the past supported fights like that. Mayweather fights. I'm not sure whether they did that for the last Canelo or whatever. So that could give a boost and a peak, a bump to Sky Sports. You also have a doubleheader coming up between Josh Taylor, who is from the UK. I'm not sure if he's Scottish or how all that goes, but him and Regis Prograis, which as far as the level of the fight and the quality of the fight is a very high level fight. One of the top high level skill fights coming up this year for sure in Josh Taylor versus Regis Prograis. And then they have a doubleheader with Derek Chisora and Joseph Parker. So that should do well, but I don't see how that fight in the UK, but somebody from the UK can let me know otherwise. How is that? Is that going to be a 500,000 people going to buy that on pay-per-view? Personally, I don't even think that card should be a pay-per-view card because none of those guys are really proven commodities. But I could be wrong. But at the end of it, even that fight is getting bolstered by 2 fighters that are not Matchroom fighters. Regis Prograis is not a Matchroom fighter. Josh Taylor, to this date, to this point, is not a Matchroom fighter. That is a World Boxing Super Series fight where World Super Series basically it was at risk of going bankrupt from what I hear. I don't know that to be true, but clearly there was concerns over the finances for fights. And Sky Sports swoops in and buys that fight, puts it as a main event and puts it as a co-main event and actually puts it over and before the fight against Derek Chisora and Joseph Parker. So, and that is a Matchroom fight, Derek Chisora and Joseph Parker. How in the world Does that happen where Eddie Hearn and those guys have to go pick up another fight to bolster their pay-per-view? It just seems, in conclusion, man, it just seems that Eddie Hearn trying to take over two continents, it's like the history of the UK. It's like the history of the British Empire. Okay, you lock down, you're on an island. You had your island locked down. You know, you're making good money, You're building ships, but then you just spread out. You try to spread your empire out so wide that the sun never sets on it, right? You start a transatlantic trade. And then, a couple hundred years later, Suez Canal happens, right? Suez Canal happens and your power's gone. The sun sets on the British Empire. The sun just is setting on the Matchroom Empire unless Eddie Hearn nationalizes. Go back to the UK, sew that up, get some good fighters, build up and do promotion in the area that you're from, and stop trying to be the end all, the be all over the world, man. Anyway, that's my take on it. It is what it is. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.